So, yeah. On to part 1 of Zach's gun rants.
So I'm gonna go on a slight rant about guns here.
No one likes it when you do that. Keep it in your pants.
There is
Everyone likes it when he
no
does
reason
that.
to make a light infantry weapon that is in 308 full auto. It is pointless.
Why not?
Let's say you're gonna shoot at that right there on the car.
Okay.
By round 3, you're up here.
Yes, you are.
Okay, because a powerful kick, you mean?
Yes, especially on a G3, which is roller delayed blowback. It is an incredibly violent recoil.
What if you found a way to suppress the recoil? Then it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Not
Oh.
really, because it's kind of hard unless your rifle.
Oh, thank you for the follow. Okay. I didn't quite catch who said it, but at least we got noise this time. Haha.
It's just really, really heavy.
So you're saying any weapon with automatic fire that has recoil is bad, huh?
No, just 308. Anytime I fired a G3 on full auto, I had to brace myself in like the weirdest way possible just to be able to get multiple rounds on target.
Maybe it's just because you're weak.
The problem was they started making in
Oh,
like the
you're wrong.
1950s.
Another platform. Well, thank you. Thank you for following again, and I'm sorry for missing that. Following Shameless Haynes. Ooh, more follows and more noise. Yay! Shameless Haynes, also thank you for the follow. Much appreciated.
In the 60s, they started making all of these infantry weapons in 308 and then making them full auto because they were like, oh, well, we'll just put it on a bipod and then we can use it in full auto. But the problem is nobody would ever put them on the bipods. They would just shoot them on full auto and then wouldn't hit anything.
Yep, that's about
The
right.
FAL is a little bit better, but that's only because its fire rate is higher, so you can kind of get one more round on target before it goes whap all the way into the sky. That's why
Never get
I'm
tired of
happy that it's semi-auto. This gun looks really good, though. I do like the G3.
You like the sleek design? Or you like the way they perform?
I think they look cool.
The G3 and FAL are generally considered well-loved for the heavy caliber guns that they are. I do not know a lot of the reasons why besides like reliability and effectiveness, which I guess are pretty much good reasons on their own, though that's just like a generic thing. I don't know the details of the reliability and effectiveness. Now, as a little bit more detail for what they were thinking when those weapons were developed, though, they were developed as well as alongside other weapons like the M14 to sort of be the modern Browning automatic rifle. The militaries wanted to combine the concept of the M1 Garand and the BAR into one rifle. They were lighter, better, and easier to use than the World War II battle rifles they replaced. Yeah, this is true. They were lighter than the BAR, similar to something like M1 Garand, but and they now had removable, replaceable box magazines. But the idea was, the intent was for them to serve both purposes in one weapon. You could fire them semi-automatic as the infantry weapon, or you could use them on a bipod or in bursts in walking fire. The problem was no one was trained how to do that, and even that, then the M14 gunners were only sometimes trained for that kind of fire anyways, so they ended up just being used in full automatic by everyone because, hey, I have a full automatic weapon, why not just use it like that? Just say they were Frankensteining and Igor dropped someone's brains during the recoil. Yeah, pretty much. Trovo's a little bit weird, but it's a platform I can stream to, so I'm going to stream to it. But yeah, Trovo's a little bit weird. I haven't quite gotten my head wrapped around it yet. But welcome. Hi. But yeah, they 308 is a huge round for full automatic. It's not Igor, it's Igor. 308 is a huge round for a fully automatic, like shoulder-fired battle rifle / assault rifle. It's not the greatest choice in the world. But yeah, they were thinking stuff like using it as the BAR whenever they designed it, and then it didn't get used as the BAR. BARs got used as BARs still, because they're heavier and easier to control.
Mossberg 590.
Is that a good weapon or not?
I personally am not a big fan of Mossberg 590. I like the Remington 870 better, but
What do you prefer about the Remington over the Mossberg?
steel receiver as opposed to an aluminum receiver of the Mossberg.
that
Also, the Mossbergs feel kind of clanky.
Is it significant difference or a slight difference?
No, it's barely any difference. It's personal preference.
So it's basically the same thing as a Remington then?
Kind of. The bolt is a little different and some of the other stuff. The barrel shroud is just a heat shield.
So prevent.
Okay, before we get to that, the only thing I know about the Mossbergs is that the Mossberg 500 series is the single most manufactured shotgun in history. That's all I know.
Prevents it from overheating.
No, it keeps you from putting your hand on the barrel when it's real hot.
Oh, so it's a barrel guard?
Yeah, heat shield. I had a guy come in one day and was like, "Hey, you got any of those shotguns with a cheese grater on them?"
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
Cheese
this.
I'm like,
grater?
what? He's like, "Yeah, you got a shotgun with a cheese grater on it." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? Why would you put a cheese grater in a shotgun, you idiot?" And then I realized that he wanted a shotgun with a heat shield.
Was he
And
using
when we were
his
talking about
rifle
heat
to
shield, I forgot we
carve
talked
up
about cheese graters.
I don't know, probably.
Is that why he needed a new one?
Maybe. Yeah, Mossberg 590. Pretty cool.
Okay, I am gonna say something. Calling the heat shield, the kind with all the circles in it, a cheese grater is actually not that far off. There's a reason they're not very popular. The circle heat shields are actually really, really hard on your hands because they do kind of act like cheese graters. There's a reason why many different heat shield patterns have been developed as an alternative to the heat shield with the circles in it.
I like it.
Did the Germans or the Russians invent it?
No, it's an American shotgun.
Oh, so it was made by Heckler and Weston?
No, it was made by Mossberg. Where are you even getting this from?
How vain do you have to be to name your rifle after yourself?
It was Mossberg and Sons. This is
Everyone
the name of
names
the
their
company.
guns
Did they
after
invent it in the
themselves.
year
Who do you think
590?
cultists?
No,
You don't know? Yes, they did then.
no, they didn't invent it in the year 590. The Mossberg 590's been around since, I don't know, the 60s, 70s maybe?
Why did they call it the Mossberg 1960s?
I have no idea, because different companies name their guns different things. Glocks are named after what patent number it is. That's why the Glock 17 is the 17. Has nothing to do with mag size. If anybody tells you that the Glock 17 is named that because it holds 17 rounds in the magazine, they don't know what they're talking about.
No, I think
Indeed.
you're right. The Mossberg 590, after 589 failed attempts at getting a patent.
No! You're wrong.
I'm not sure the difference between a muzzle brake and a choke.
Savage, Remington, Colt, Smith & Wesson. Yep, those are all. There's a whole lot more too. As my brain just immediately shuts down because those are my immediate go-to. Mosin Nagants, made by Mosin and Nagant. Kalashnikov, ta-da. Yeah, you can go on and on. Crap. I had it and then I lost it. Another revolver one. Ah, screw me. Come on, really? Short version is, I think maybe like half of all gun manufacturers, maybe 2/3 are named after the person that came up with anything with Browning in the name. That's not who I was trying to think of, but that's an easy one. Russian, Mosin, and Belgian Nagant brother. Yep. Not even getting into the Chinese knockoffs yet.
Choke, sadly.
A choke is basically a very shallow funnel that you put on the inside of the barrel that's going to compress the shot and the wadding before it leaves the barrel.
So it pretty much makes the shotgun shell a slug of sorts?
No, it just keeps it more tightly clustered together.
Yeah, like a slug.
No, because it's still going to open up the moment it leaves the barrel.
Oh, so it's just a delayed explosion. What does the other thing do then?
A muzzle brake just vents the exhaust gases out the side of the barrel.
I knew it. Putting holes in your weapon makes it better.
No, it doesn't. Oh my god. Technically, you're correct. Yes.
That's the best kind of correct.
Technically, putting holes in the end of your barrel does mitigate recoil somewhat, but not putting holes in it willy-nilly.
You never know until you try.
Oh my god, Mike. Behold, Mike! The Mateba Model 6 Unica.
I want
Never
one
heard
of
of that
these
gun
so
before.
bad.
It's a revolver, and its name means you are unique.
I will never have the money for
Okay.
one, but I
Yeah,
want
it was
one.
gun's creator telling the gun that it was unique. Fun fact about the Mateba Model 6 Unica, it fires out of the bottom cylinder.
Oh, so not at the top cylinder like most revolvers?
Yep, fires out of the bottom cylinder. Also, it's a semi-automatic revolver.
So it's not necessarily good, it's just different for the sake of being different.
Well, having it fire out of the bottom cylinder is a good thing because it reduces flip up.
then why don't all of them do that?
Because it requires a lot more work and you gotta kind of move shit around a lot.
So it's not necessarily better.
Not necessarily. Yeah, it's a revolver that uses gas pressure of the cartridge firing to cock the hammer back, so it fires on single action every shot.
Why would a 6-shot single-action revolver be semi-automatic?
It just cocks the hammer back every time.
Oh, so you don't have to recock it?
Yes, you don't have to pull the hammer back every single time.
Oh, well, that sounds great. Why don't all revolvers do that?
Because it's really complicated. It's a lot of extra work and a lot of extra parts to put into a gun, so it didn't really catch on. Also, it looks weird.
Weird is cool.
Yeah,
You want
weird
a
is
Mateba,
cool.
you pretty much just have to get a Chiappa Rhino, because Matebas are almost impossible to find.
I've never
And they get a premium.
I believe it. I've never even heard of the Mateba.
I think its biggest claim to fame is that it was in the Ghost in the Shell movie from like the 1980s.
Ah, so a whole 12 people saw it.
Wow, man. Way to just completely crap on my childhood.
Am I Zach on this?
Oh, the
Okay. Now, I know a lot of people have been confused by what he's talking about with the hammer and the semi-automatic. So, this whole upper assembly, when you fire, recoils back like a standard automatic handgun, which cocks the hammer. This whole thing just moves back when you fire and then forward again. And the difference with single action and double action is with single action, that's like in cowboy movies where you pull the hammer back and then you fire. The trigger pull on those is typically really, really light, so it doesn't take a lot to pull the trigger, which also helps the gun with accuracy. Because a very light trigger pull helps your hand stay a lot more steady when you fire. Double action, which a lot of people see as semi-automatic, is when you pull the trigger, it pulls the hammer back as you pull the trigger and then lets go when you finish pulling the trigger. Yes, this is similar in that every time you pull the trigger, it fires the gun. You don't need to manually cock the hammer back, but it is significantly heavier. It takes a lot more force in order to pull the hammer. Now, this isn't necessarily force in terms of, oh my gosh, I can't pull this back, unless you're firing some absolutely insane thing. But it does, it doesn't take a lot to destabilize even a very strong hand and wrist in terms of accuracy. And so a double action revolver is just going to be that little bit less accurate compared to single action. So a mechanism that turns it into single action every time is really, really cool. You could argue it's completely unnecessary from a practical point of view, but it is really, really cool. Lovely Fosbury 38 automatic, 8-shot. They don't make them anymore, as it should be in the book.
Mateba, yes, that weapon was featured in episode 14 of The Snorks. What new weapon are you using now?
This is the Beretta M92FS.
Isn't that the standard issue police weapon?
No, standard issue, it was the... Ah! Stop resisting! Gun! I'm gonna go through ammo for this thing pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, if you keep spraying it like that.
Well, it takes a lot of bullets to take one of those things down. You ever try to kill a plant with a gun? It's not very effective. Next time you try to weed your front lawn, try using a pistol to do it. The entire time
Make
I was
sure
in the
the neighbors
military,
know
I
what
was
you're
like,
up to.
Man, the M9's a piece of garbage. Why would anybody use this hunk of junk? And then when I got out of the military, I was like, man, the M9's awesome. I love this handgun.
Maybe that's not a testament to the weapon's strength.
I think the main problem is that in the military, it's a military issued one. So it's not exactly well made. And also,
That's suspicious.
It's not exactly well made. It's used by soldiers who beat the crap out of it. It's all old parts. Also,
This is why military grade is
I feel
not
like
always
the
a good
M9
thing.
is
Agreed.
a great civilian handgun.
Military grade means built by the lowest bidder. Only AGL Arms 45 Long Colt. It is not. That is, I think, not the only other low barrel pistol. I think there's several other models, and I do not know enough about any of them to talk about it further. I think, but I'm pretty sure there are a couple other models, all equally as rare.
But a terrible. Oh my god, you're not proving my point here. Combat handgun. It's got too many parts. Good lord. What is happening? Die! 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 Help! Help! Help
He's having a
me!
bad day.
So it's not only a bad herbicide, but a bad pesticide as well. Oh, what are you using now?
This is the AN-94. They put pulleys in it so that it fires one round, then the barrel starts recoiling backwards, and then it fires the second round. So you get 2 rounds firing out of it before the recoil impulses.
Only
hit the
one I
shooter.
know off the
Did
top
they
of the head.
invent
That's
that
bad.
before gas pistons were a thing?
It was an attempt to increase the hit probability of, hang on, the hit probability of the average soldier.
Did it
What?
work? Did they succeed?
Yeah, except that the gun is incredibly complicated and very expensive. So it was adopted by the Russian military for about a day, and then it wasn't. Yeah, I like the rear sight on the AN-94. It's cool.
It looks like it's lopsided.
It is. It's kind of off.
Up to a surprise that Mike, a Marine, knows the words herbicide and pesticide. They do refer to at some point his crayon-eating tendencies. Also, not mentioned, I don't think, is the fact that those first 2 shots the AN-94 fires are actually faster than its regular rate of fire. It fires its first 2 shots really, really quickly, one after another, and then the rest of its automatic fire is actually slower. I think it's actually pretty close to the M3 grease gun in terms of standard rate of fire after the first 2 shots. So it fires the first 2 shots at like, I think I'm guessing around here, at something like 1,200 rounds per minute, and then slows down to 300 rounds per minute.
Off to the side, but you rotate this little piece right there to whatever range you're aiming at.
Oh, you hold it like a gangster sideways so the
No, it's
sight
the-
straight side up.
No, it's the correct way. It's just the sight is just there.
Look at it. I can
So
see it.
2
It's
round bursts are
crooked.
best? Yes.
It's not crooked. I'm looking through this top part of it right here, and then it's got an angle like that. So when you rotate it, it's always in the correct position.
2 round bursts are
Yes,
best.
it's weird. It's a weird gun. That's why I grabbed it, because it's weird.
Weird doesn't mean useful. Weird doesn't mean it's
Actually,
good.
in firearms,
Do
it
you have a
often
lot of ammo
does.
that you want to get rid of quickly? Do you have a bunch of enemies that you want to throw lead at as fast as humanly possible? Do you hate that guy over there and you want him to be just absolutely suppressed for the next 3.5 minutes? Then buy the PKM light machine gun. Standing for words in Russian that I don't understand, PKM is an acronym. Using
I
a
once knew the
long-stroke
words, but I couldn't
gas-operated
tell you
system
right now.
With an open bolt assembly, the PKM is capable of throwing large amounts of ammunition at approximately anywhere from 650 all the way up to 800 rounds per minute.
Point the barrel at the thing you
I
want
don't
to
think
die,
that the gun
squeeze
has
the
any
trigger,
control
and
over
death
it.
comes
It
out.
just
Yes,
decides
pretty
what
much.
rate of fire it's
You
firing.
drop that Cyrog in the water.
I dropped it and I don't know where it went.
So 200 rounds per minute, then 300 rounds per minute, isn't it? No, 1,200 rounds per minute, then 300 rounds per minute. 2 shots at, I believe, 1,200 rounds per minute. Then it down steps to 300 rounds per minute for as long as you hold the trigger.
Oh no! Ah, it's too bad.
It's God, I can't talk about it anymore if I don't have a visual aid.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
just talk about how much
1200
you
is
love
a
the
lot
Mozilla
faster.
Again.
Yep, that is a Mauser broom handle.
Also known as the Type 22. Yes.
The-
You mentioned that the Chinese name all their weapons Type number.
Yeah, they do, and I don't know what the Chinese nomenclature for this pistol is. So.
I thought it was Type 22, but maybe I'm getting my types confused.
I don't know. There's so many. I can't remember the names of all of them. They used it in World War I, and it was outdated in World War I.
And it was still one of the best automatic handguns in World War One. The Mauser broom handle gets crapped on because it is a very primitive automatic design, but the reality is it actually works really, really well. Just a lot of people don't like how big and clunky it is, but I think that that's for what it is in the time it's in. It's like there are many worse things to be than big and clunky.
What's not great
In
about it?
1914, this pistol was outdated.
What made it outdated? The fact that it only holds, what, 12 shots?
The real one holds, I think, 10 rounds. It's an internal magazine that you cannot remove. You have to load it with stripper clips.
Wait, what? You... Oh,
10,
God, that
20,
sounds
and 40.
terrible.
So then you have to take a stripper clip, which is just a long piece of metal with a bunch of bullets in it, and then push all the bullets down into the magazine with your thumb. And if you do it wrong, the bolt will close on your thumb.
Sounds so fun.
I like the BAR. I'm not a big fan of this specific model. I think this
6, 10, and 20. So, yes, for the original ones, excuse me. 6, 10, and 20. Then they were updated to the ones that did take external box magazines. Those are 10, 20, and 40. You are correct. Also, they got an automatic version, which fires, I think, 1,500 rounds per minute, and is absolutely nuts. I like the C96. Big and clunky, yes, but the gun is very reliable, and just in general a cool, unique design, since there are not very many forward magazine designs. I like it, and I like the weight as well, because some of the calibers that you can get it in are really hot rounds, so the heavier weight makes it that much more controllable. It's a caveman, it's huge, it packs a wallop and will murder anything it hits. Yeah. Some of the rounds that the C96 fires are nothing to sneeze at. The 45 ACP that many of them came in is actually considered the tame round for what it fires.
I think this is the BAR A2, technically, and I'm not a big fan of the A2.
What's the difference?
So the original BAR was substantially lighter. It had a bipod, but the bipod was removable. On the A2, they made the bipod non-removable, and it's freaking heavy. They also put a magazine adapter on it, which is also heavy.
There you go.
See that little thing on the top?
That's
of
all
it?
he had
The
to say in the
little
BAR.
portion that's kind of sticking the...
The 45 ACP is a rare Chinese copy. Well, there's original 45 ACP as well. I'm gonna double check myself, but I'm 99% sure that there is original. That there was also just original in 45 ACP as well. There was an official Chinese export model in 45 ACP. But those were manufactured in very large quantities because they were to supply a civil war. So there are Chinese copies of it, but during the Second Sino-Japanese War and the Chinese Civil War, they were exporting them in regular 45 ACP, and they were bought in very large numbers. So there's actually a lot of 45 ACP Mausers. Well, there were a lot of 45 ACP Mausers made. There are less that it still exist because a lot of those were destroyed. A lot of them by the CCP, so, make of that what you will. And here we have the grease gun.
Wrong direction?
Mm-hmm.
That's a safety.
That's a weird way to have a safety.
Yeah, the safety mechanism literally is the dust cover that you close it, and it keeps things from getting in there, and it also keeps the bolt from moving forwards.
Neat.
Also, there's no charging handle on this submachine gun. You just shove your finger into the ejection port and pull the bolt back.
You don't need to charge it. It's not an energy weapon.
Loading handle, Mike.
You want to debate guns for a while with someone who doesn't know anything about guns? Or you want to do some bounty hunting?
Fine,
He
let's
was
do
a
some bounty
Marine.
hunting.
Tell me about the Steyr AUG before you kill all of them.
Well, the Steyr AUG, AUG is technically an acronym for Army Universal Gewehr, and it was first adopted by the Austrian military in 1977.
One of the
its
few
original
truly
name
good
was
bullpup
the STG
designs.
77, which stands for Sturmgewehr 77. Yes, it's a very good rifle. It was very futuristic at the time of its release.
But it's not so much anymore. It does look...
It's still a pretty advanced automatic rifle. The Styrogue has what's called a progressive trigger, at least on the military models.
Ah, so it's very open towards gay marriage.
Also, yes, but the
I
trigger,
forgot
when
about
you
most
pull
of
it
these
back
jokes. It's
little
been a
bit
while.
until it clicks the first time, that's when it fires single shot. But if you pull it back all the way, it fires fully automatic. Another interesting fact about the Styrogue
I
is
do
that
have
it
some
is used by
concerns
both the
about that
Austrians
firing
and
mechanism.
The Australians.
So now it doesn't matter if you get those two confused.
Yes, exactly. The ones that's used by the Australians is technically
Yeah,
called
I think the
Ausfire,
AUG is still
though.
a very good design.
The Styrogue was the first bullpup to be adopted by a military. Well, it was the first bullpup to be widely adopted by a military. I think technically there was one before that, but it doesn't really count because
It was
adopted
British
by
and it was
Britain
bad.
for about 5 minutes and then wasn't adopted anymore. The first time I fired a Styrogue, it was one of the full auto ones, and the Austrians didn't tell me about the progressive
L86,
trigger
right? Pretty
for
sure
it.
it's L86.
Sorry, Australians. The Australians didn't tell me about the progressive trigger for it. So I'm just kneeling down on the firing range. I get behind this thing. I get it all scoped up, and I pull the trigger. I go, man, this trigger's really heavy. And I jerk it all the way back, and it goes... Then they laughed at me. So yeah, the
As
Styrogue is my
soldiers do.
favorite bullpup, other than a FAMAS, which you basically cannot get a FAMAS in the United States.
Much to
There's,
Ian's
I think, a
disappointment and
total of
scorn.
maybe 400 that exist in the U.S.
Wait, only 400 FAMASs?
Yeah, there's only like 400 that exist.
Why not more?
So the FAMAS was imported for
I'm
a very
surprised
short
no one's,
period
like,
of time
Done a good
before
clone of the
there was
FAMAS
a
design.
ban on importing weapons. So there's only like 400 semi-automatic FAMASs that exist in the U.S.
So that must be a collector's treasure, huh?
Yes, they contract a premium $20,000.
Wow. You can't legally purchase them outside of the ones that are already here?
No, you can't, because
But
the
you-
ones that were imported are the only ones that are ever going to be imported.
Well, I guess it's French, and a lot of people don't want to clone French weapons. That might be it.
God, I gotta get a new barrel for this thing. This rifling is just mad fucked.
You
I
couldn't
have seen
just
muskets
zero
with
it in,
better
huh?
accuracy.
No, it's got terrible rifling on it.
Maybe you should keep better care of it.
Oh yeah, I'll just repair the rifling on my barrel, Mike.
You make it sound like that's a difficult thing to do, but I have no idea.
That's an impossible thing. Do we have access to a hammer forge, Mike? Where's your hammer forge? Why don't you just knock out a new barrel for your gun?
There's a workbench over here. It's close enough.
Does that look like a hammer forge to you?
Well, maybe the stove could function as a hammer forge.
That looks like an Uzi to me. Israeli Military Industries Uzi.
Watch out.
Uzi
One
is
of the SMGs of all
better
time.
submachine guns. A lot of different militaries actually ended up adopting it. I think the U.S. had it for a while.
Have you
Which-
fired a Uzi before?
I have.
I say that,
Did
but
you
for what
enjoy
it
the
is, the Uzi
experience?
is actually really,
alright.
really good.
When I hear submachine gun, I think at least 50 rounds in the clip.
Now,
The sub in submachine gun is actually indicative of the caliber. Sub-caliber weapon, so it's smaller than rifle caliber. Oh! Speaking of submachine guns that were available around the same time, I just found a Sten gun.
My name's Stan. Here's my gun.
So this is one of
welcome
the
to
other,
the bike shop
This
gun.
is one of the other submachine guns that was widely available around the time of the Uzi.
Is the magazine in there sideways?
Yes, it is. The magazine pokes out of the side.
It's not a handguard. It's not a thing you're
Was a
supposed to grab.
Marine. Yeah, Mike was a Marine.
Most soldier would just hold on to the magazine well.
Yeah.
when they shot it. The only submachine guns that were, again, widely available were things like the MP-18 and the Thompson submachine gun. Submachine guns that were quite large, pretty dang heavy, and expensive to manufacture because it required a lot of machining. The Sten gun, by comparison, is made basically out of a tube with a couple holes cut into it, a barrel, and then pressed pieces of sheet metal.
It's basically a pipe gun.
At the time they were making these things, they could probably knock out about 5 of them in an hour.
In a
Nice.
bike
They
shop.
could just slam these things together incredibly fast. The only complaint people had about them is if you're carrying one on a sling, there's really no good way to carry it. The sights bang into your stomach, and also it doesn't want to sit like that, so it keeps trying to roll over.
Mm-hmm.
If you carry it the other direction, the charging handle slams into your stomach. And if you carry it with the magazine pointing up, the trigger jams into your stomach. So there's no good way to carry the submachine gun.
And that's why it fell out of service and was replaced by the M16.
Go away, Mike.
No, it fell out of service because
Mike is
machine
clearly
guns like
Costello.
the Uzi
Yes.
started coming about. And while this thing is a really good, incredibly cheap submachine gun that you can knock out thousands of them very quickly, it isn't that accurate. You can still find these things damn near everywhere. I found tons of them when I was in Iraq. Ones that were built in like the 40s and still were being used.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one that was turned into me that had a built-in suppressor.
How do you make a built-in suppressor?
Basically, you drill a bunch of holes in the barrel and you add a suppressor to the end of it. I had one that had been camouflage painted, had an integral suppressor, and somebody had bolted a rail to the top and attached a laser sight to it.
A
And there
laser sight on a pistol that's 80 years old.
Yeah, on a submachine gun.
When you were taking inventory
be
of these
fair-
weapons, did you have to mark down details like that on the notes page?
Nope, I just remembered that. And they actually...
Yeah, to be fair, the Sten gun is actually going to benefit from it because trying to shoulder that thing is miserable, as you can see. And yeah, these things were built and can still be built in bike shops. So they require very little anything to be built and can effectively be maintained if you have a hammer, a screwdriver, and a file. They're basically they're only about a half a step away from being a zip gun, mechanically speaking. But you can see they have just a tiny little barrel there. So they're not very accurate. You're going to spend a lot of time hip firing these because there's no point in firing from the shoulder. And the stock is absolutely miserable anyways. As many World War II designs were. Yeah, fair. And just to go back, yeah, I joke about the Uzi a lot. It is a decent submachine gun. Its big advantage is just the fact that it is so small and compact with a really high rate of fire. So at its optimum range, which is like 25 yards at max, it doesn't really matter that you're not going to hit with one bullet. You're just going to hit with volume of fire. That's all you need to worry about.
made, I think, 4 or 5 different stocks.
What stock? It looks like someone jammed a hanger in there.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a piece of wire. It was made to be cheap. Like I said,
Yep.
This gun was made to be cheap.
Yeah. Task accomplished,
It's
I
an
guess.
incredibly simple, cheap gun that was designed to arm Britain's soldiers with some type of submachine gun that didn't cost, at the time, one Thompson submachine gun.
Yeah, these are cheaper
cost
than the
as much
grease
as
gun.
about
And
10
remember, the
of
grease gun
these.
was what,
This
15
is
bucks?
a really good option.
It would be a better option if it were more accurate.
Doesn't really matter. Submachine guns are designed to be used at about 50 yards, and that's it.
They have spray
That's
and spray guns.
50 yards
Pretty
is
much.
optimistic too.
I have shot both a Sten gun and an Uzi. If I was going to be armed with one of these 2 submachine guns, I think I'd probably take the Sten gun.
Fewer
You said that
parts,
the Sten
easier to
gun
maintain.
had only 40 moving parts, roughly, right?
It's like 40 parts
Hello!
total. There's barely any.
Hershey,
That
hi!
sounds like easy maintenance to me.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy to maintain.
Thank you for the follow.
No joke. If the recoil spring breaks on a Sten gun, you probably can go find a screen door and rip the spring off of that and shove
That's
it
probably
into
what the
gun.
original
Didn't
spring
you
is
do
from.
that? You took a pencil
Again,
spring or something?
made in bike
I put like a
shops.
mechanical pen spring in a Walther P38.
And it worked just as good, huh?
Yeah, it worked fine. Yeah, that'll hold it over until I can get a new spring.
It's really good at filling the enemies with hot lead.
Ah! Ooh! Ooh! Ooh, what you got? What you got here? What you got? Let me turn you over and take a look at this thing.
I
An
love this story.
L96A1! Are you
I
fucking
love this
kidding
story.
me?
Never heard of that one.
L96A1!
That's got a nice scope on it, I see.
Yes, it does have a nice scope on it. Most people are going to know this thing as the Accuracy International AWP.
Most people wouldn't recognize it in this kind of view, but yes.
Oh, hello.
Okay, just gonna use this gun on him.
Well, they were hostile.
They didn't seem hostile until you shot them in the throat.
Wow, I suck with sniper rifles.
There you
There
go.
we go. You like that? What? Is there? There's another one. Oh, he's got an AWP too. This is gonna go right in your ear.
You waste them, yeah!
Accuracy International, the company that designed this rifle, was effectively 3 guys in a shed.
I know he's not going to cover this. It was 3 guys in a shed who were making rifles for Olympic shooters. So that's the start that he doesn't mention, is that there were 3 guys making rifles for Olympic shooters, and the idea that is going to come up came from an Olympic shooter who said, "Hey, why don't you try this?" I just wanted to add that in there because I think it's really cool that these guys, were dealing with the best target shooters on the planet. And when you realize where they're working out of, and that's their standard clients.
And they were like, why don't we submit this rifle that we built to the British military rifle trials for a new sniper rifle? So they did it. They didn't expect to win.
The official advice was, submit this to the trials, let the military complain about it, and then you'll know how to improve it. That was the suggestion. As you can see, they didn't expect to win.
And it won handily, and they were like, oh crap, now we gotta build a bunch of these things. So when the British military sent some requisitions lieutenants out to their shop,
to his garage.
they rented a large
Literally
shop
garage.
and then took their entire
It was actually a
inventory
shed.
of rifles they had produced up until that point. And there's only 3 people that worked for this company at the time. So when the requisitions officers showed up, they were like, well, where is everybody? Oh, they're out to lunch. It'll be fine.
Why are we in a 2-stall garage? The rest of the house is out for lunch too. It'll be back in a moment.
Well, no, they had rented out for a day an actual workshop. Had all these workbenches in it, put all the rifles on it in different states. So they showed up and the requisitions officers were happy. They're like, hey, this looks like a really good operation you guys got going here. Let's go out to lunch. So they went out and got lunch. And then while they were out at lunch, the requisitions officers were like, yeah, this was really more of a formality. We just wanted to make sure you weren't 3 guys in a shed. And they're just like, oh my God, we're in so much trouble. Anyway, it ended up getting adopted, and it's a really, really good rifle.
Have you fired?
It gets better. It gets worse / better. So the requisitions officers really did say that, and eventually it did come out, hey, this is the reality of the situation. So military said, you know what though? This rifle is so good, we're going to use it anyways. And we will arrange for a subcontractor to manufacture them on license from you. Because we really want this rifle. So they did. The subcontractor cut corners. and the rifles that were produced didn't actually work. But the military still said, no, we want these rifles. So these 2 guys had to go in, tell the subcontractor what they were doing wrong, fix the rifles that had been produced. The British military wanted these rifles that badly that they bent over backwards and dealt with all this crap and paid to have it fixed. Which normally most militaries would look at this chain of events and go, nope, we're picking something else that's cheaper. But nope, they wanted those rifles so badly that they arranged for subcontractors and repairs and fixes and actually telling these big manufacturing companies, no, you're gonna listen to the 3 guys from a shed because they know what they're talking about, and we want exactly what they designed and nothing else. And it is still considered one of the best bolt-action rifles on the planet for accuracy.
Fired one of these guns.
I have fired one of these guns.
Come on! Really?
If it's any World War II gun, they were probably all over the place in Iraq. So it's the PPSH-41. It's a Russian submachine gun.
These guns we've been picking up that you've been spouting about, they were all used by the Allies in World War II?
Yes. So far, we have not found any German World War II submachine guns, which would be the MP-38. I think it's going to be the only one.
Wait, is that the only weapon the Nazis had?
No, they had tons of other ones. Just the MP-38 is like the only submachine gun they technically had.
Okay.
This one does eject all the shell casings out of the top of it.
Shoots them up?
Yeah, shell casings just pop straight out the top of it.
Into your line of sight?
You don't really notice them when you're shooting it. You do notice them when they come raining back down from the sky and go down the shirt collar.
Yeah, seems like a terrible design. You say people like these guns.
Oh yeah,
One of the
Germans had a lot.
downsides of it is that happens.
People would take these guns, fire them sideways gangsta style, and then shoot their comrades with the shrapnel.
You're actually not wrong, because one of the standard practices for these things was to hold it at 25 or 45 degree angle
Well, yeah,
in your shoulder, so it goes and spits the shell casings
if you
away.
designed the shell casings to eject straight up, then it just makes sense.
Well, the reason they have it eject the shell casings straight up is because it's an ease of manufacturing.
Hey, should we manufacture a gun that doesn't shoot hot shell casings down the soldiers' backs? We could, but this is so much cheaper!
There was a Sten
Oh, it is even cheaper than that. A lot of the old PPSHs were actually built out of cut up Mosin Nagants. They're actually built out of cut up Mosin Nagants. They would cut the barrels, because they're both in 7.62. It's just a matter of the powder that's behind them. They cut the barrel off, so now you have a 7.62 barrel, and then they cut up the stock in order to get because the shoulder part's already there. You just need change in how everything fits together, and then you only need to manufacture the firing mechanism and the the receiver and the barrel shroud for the heat guard. So now you've taken your old Mosin Nagants and turned them into submachine guns, basically.
gun, which was like the British one, and then there was an Australian one, which was the Owen submachine gun, I believe.
The Emu Slayer.
The Owen gun
They
is
lost that war.
real weird.
How so?
So you know how you thought it was weird the magazine sticks out of this one?
Does the magazine stick straight out the top of it?
You got it!
Come on, I was joking! You're serious!
Yes, the Owen gun has the magazine sticking straight out of the top.
You're sure you're not
An
making an
offset
Australian
sight so you
joke
can
about how the
actually
magazine
see.
is upside down?
Yes, the magazine sticks straight out of the top, and no, it is not an Australian joke. There's actually a good reason for doing that. A lot of...
Because the gravity flows up?
The reason for doing that is because you don't have to have a super strong magazine spring. Because gravity actually aids in feeding the rounds.
Then why don't they all do that?
Because it means you have to have your sights offset to the side of it.
Oh,
which
yes.
is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it does sound stupid that way.
Mechanically, the Owen was great.
You're stupid. Shut up. You don't know.
Ergonomically, the Owen was
putting a
iffy.
magazine in my line of sight so I can't see. What if you put crosshairs in the bottom of the magazine so you could just use it? You'd have to recite it every time you had to reload.
You joke about that, but there's actually a couple pistols that literally just have crosshairs painted on the back of the gun, and you're just supposed to put the back of the pistol on top of the center of the target and hope that you're gonna hit it. What is this bullshit?
For the pistol, look up the Taurus Curve, which is a hilariously bad self-defense pistol. Yep, Up to has it, Taurus Curve. That is a hilariously bad pistol. And it really does just have a white cross painted on the back with the idea of put this over what you want to shoot. There. Yeah, Australia didn't have a great manufacturing base, so exceptions were made. But like I said, mechanically, the Owen's great. It's ergonomically terrible.
The fuck is this thing?
You're not familiar with it?
No!
It's a zip
Probably
gun.
because they made it at home. It's some bathtub moonshine kind of gun.
God, yeah, it looks like it was
It-
made at
honestly,
home.
it could-
Except the
looks
front
like it
sight
could
and
be
rear sight
a,
actually look usable. And there's actually some really nice knurling on the back of that end cap.
What's it called?
Knurling. Knurling's fun and expensive. So this is a very expensive homemade submachine gun.
Ludi. It looks like
So
it could
instead
be
of
someone
writing
competing with the Ludi.
overpressure ammunition on the back of every single bullet, they just do a little plus and the P. Because then, at a glance, you can tell what kind of ammunition you have.
What if it's under pressure? Is it negative P then?
No, then it's just ammunition.
Yeah, then it's just poorly made.
Excuse me! Is it G36 time? I believe it's G36 time. It's G36 time, Mike. Made by Heckler and Koch, or Heckler and Koch, however the hell you want to pronounce it.
I say
H
Koch.
and K.
Everyone says Koch.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, pronounce it however the hell you want. You're an American. It's a 5.56 select fire weapon system. Made primarily of polymer, which is interesting and futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
Stock folds off to the side. It's one of the first really modular weapons that was adopted by a military. So on the magazine, you see those two little circles that are right there?
Yes.
Those are actually locking lugs, so you can just lock a bunch of magazines together.
Just stack them like Jenga pieces, one after
Yep.
the other.
Yeah, pretty much. They work pretty well. H&K did kind of get in trouble recently some of the trunnions on the guns weren't exactly put together properly.
I
So
don't know what a trunnion is.
the piece of metal that the barrel locks into on the inside of the gun. Turned out some of them were kind of crappy, so they had a tendency to start having wandering zeros, which means that every time you would zero it, the zero would completely change and it would start shooting all over the place.
Have you fired one of these?
I have never fired a full auto version, no.
Mike
but
is
I have fired a
Mike has lots
civilian
of fire
version.
training.
You can't get an actual G36 in the U.S. because apparently H&K doesn't think that we're German enough to be allowed
They
to
do
own
that
them.
with so many
they
of their guns,
Imported this bastardized version of it that's called the HK SL8.
which is absolutely atrocious. Oh,
atrocious.
yeah, you said
Even
it.
more so than this gun, huh?
These guns are great.
You just finished telling me how they were not that great because of the
That
parts.
was kind of
No,
a
that's
problem for the military one, and they were
That
old
was
at
that was a
time.
manufacturing
Ignoring
problem, not the
all of the
design
defects,
problem.
these guns
The
are
civilian
great.
version is a design
This
problem.
gun worked amazingly well. For some reason, they made it so that the SL8 takes magazines that look like G36 magazines, but a G36 magazine will not go into it because they converted it to a single stack magazine.
Okay.
So the magazines are not interchangeable. Most of the parts aren't interchangeable.
They
It's
don't
got a
even
weird,
really
stupid
look all
thumb
that
hole
similar.
stock that makes it look absolutely asinine. The barrel is super long, doesn't have a flash hider on it,
If this gun is so great, how come I've never heard of it before?
because you're not interested in guns in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna use this one.
Okay, I'm gonna put on the Star Citizen music real quick. I need to run real quick. I will be right back. And get this, has double stack versions that still don't take the regular magazines. When you look at it, it looks like a Chinese attempted clone, a bad knockoff of the G36. And I have seen in the local gun store G36 clones that look like the G36. You know, they're double stack single feed, yeah, something like that. Hello, James. They are actually let me do the retweets real quick since I'm back from a break. They are, you know, like not official. They're knockoff G36s that look like G36s and use standard AR-15 magazines. So, you know, the people basically pirating the design make a better civilian version than the official civilian version. All right, that should be all posts done. Just quickly making sure things are going. I am Xaifax. I am just be a touch hard to make a worse one that's still fine. Yeah, the H&K civilian version is absolutely terrible. All right, looks like everything's in order. I just want to make sure. Let us. I thought I got rid of Nightbot. Give me a sec. I will get rid of that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, James. I thought I got rid of Nightbot. Give me a sec. Nightbot, stop. Nightbot's supposed to be turned off. Why? What? Spam protection. Disabled. Nightbot's disabled. What's going on? Am I going to have to actually block it? Nightbot's actually disabled. Yeah, I used Nightbot ages ago, but it says it's disabled. Give me a sec. We are just going to kick Nightbot. We're just going to kick Nightbot out of the chat, I guess. Because it shouldn't be doing that. All right. Just waiting for it to load. No, we don't want Restream Bot. We want Nightbot. Where is Nightbot? There's. Why won't you let me kick Nightbot? What's going on? Yeah, I'm from the States. Nightbot, go away. I don't. All right, I guess we're gonna check YouTube mods. Nightbot shouldn't be a mod, so I don't know what's going on. It won't let me boot them. It's just the hide option. Settings. Permissions. Okay, Nightbot isn't a moderator, so it shouldn't be able to kick you. But I have no idea how to just get it to stop. Have you ever played nope, I have not played Roblox. Anyways, back to this. What is it, the FNFNC?
It looks kind of like the M16.
No, this is the Fabrique Nationale FNC, which stands for Fabrique Nationale Carbine. So yeah, it's kind of redundant in that it's called the Fabrique Nationale Carbine. The FNC is based on the AR-18, which is a piston-driven version of an AR-15. A lot of the stuff on the inside of it is a little bit different. They were very well received. They worked well. The intended purpose of this was actually to replace the FAL. Didn't really work for that. Initial ones had problems with the stock falling off.
That is an issue.
There, also, a handguard falling off.
That is also an
it was
issue.
made out of paper and salt and disintegrated if it touched water.
Once they got those problems worked out, this was an amazing gun. I want an FNC, but I want the AK-5C handguard on it. You know what I'm talking about?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Drum mag and the Tommy gun. Actually,
oh yes, the swarm of angry
we
bees.
discussed this, and it is technically a drum mag, but wiggle wiggle. We've discussed this. It's an AM 180. Wiggle wiggle.
Is that how you clear a jam on a
Yeah.
Tommy gun? Really? You just wiggle it?
No. Let's go turn this evidence in.
Alexander Davies, thank you for the follow.
And this one.
Come on, come back.
James, thank you for the follow.
Was it a Makarov?
All right, he didn't stick with it very long. The AM. There you go, Jerome Swenson. Thank you for the follow. Lots of people tonight. Oh. The AM 180, the American 180, is also known as the Swarm of Angry Bees. It is a 22 caliber riot gun. I'm not a bot, I swear. Thank you for the follow. Holy crap, where are you all coming from? What happened? I don't know what's going on, but thank you all for the follows. Alright. Ha! Epic Bear! What? Oh my gosh, the night that I'm sick and just doing reacts, everyone shows up. Hi, welcome. Yeah, the AM180 is a 22... Zero Fallen, thank you for the follow. I'm going to be doing this for a while, aren't I? Okay, Nightbot is not a mod. You should just be able to ignore it, James. I'm sorry that it's picking on you. I don't know how to get rid of it. I have it turned off and everything. Anyways, it's a 22 caliber riot gun. Damn, bro, hi! Thank you for the follow. Welcome. What is happening? It's 22 caliber riot gun, with the idea being that at the time they didn't have pepper spray or anything, or any kind of traditional less lethal weapon. So less lethal just meant we're going to use a tiny weak bullet and hope that it doesn't kill everyone. I just timed it out for 24 hours. Hopefully that should do it for... Oh, thank you, Rippy. I don't know why it wasn't giving me that option.
Were you shooting me with a Makarov? I don't know how I guessed it that quickly.
Was it IROC Game? Hi, yes.
Tell me about the Makarov. It's a Russian.
I am reacting to Zach's Gun Rants, the first one, from Mike Burnfire. And this is Zach and Mike. Zach is the one who knows about guns. Mike is the Marine who never learned anything.
Gun, isn't it?
I can't tell you right now. I'm busy killing.
Come on, that's never stopped you before.
The Makarov is a 9mm Russian pistol, but it's in a different 9mm caliber.
Wait, there's different 9mm?
Yes. The Makarov
See you, James.
is a 9
Thanks
by
for hanging out.
18
Thanks for following.
Makarov, not 9x19 Parabellum, which is the normal 9mm round.
Come on, really?
Yes, there's also 9x21.
9x25.
9mm Largo.
There are so many different kinds of ammo. Can you standardize slightly,
9x39.
While it's shorter by 1mm.
Hello.
Me.
Hi,
Wow,
thank you.
That dropped him fast. It's kind of based on the Walther PPK pistol.
Most
It
Russian
looks
guns are
similar,
cloned
and
off
it's
of
the
something
same
else.
operating principle. It's just a straight blowback pistol. It's nothing fancy. The barrel's pinned in place.
I say that,
which
and then
means
I
that
have
this
a little
pistol has
bee.
a lot more recoil than you think it's going to. It lets you know you're shooting it. I did find another gun. It's the Colt 1911.
Also, the Makarov, the 9x18, Russia specifically went for an underpowered round, quote unquote, because they were worried that conscripts couldn't handle the recoil of the regular 9x19.
Ah, the most reliable firearm on the market.
I've gone over the 1911 before.
You've called it the most unreliable gun you've ever used.
I like joking about that.
It's not really that unreliable.
No, they work just fine. I just like giving 1911 owners a bunch of shit because my 2 world wars and 45 ACP because they don't make a 46.
Except they do, technically.
Hello.
True to Kaiser.
True to different gun.
Give us that gun.
Oh, it's a Taurus.
Tauruses are trash.
I take it you don't like guns that are named after constellations?
Oh, it's a Taurus Raging Bull. Oh, it's a garbage gun.
Is it though?
Oh,
Taurus has figured
guns
out
are
how
like
to make
really bad
unreliable
quality.
revolvers.
Really?
Think
Yeah,
about
they're
that.
not great.
Well, look, I'm sure you could put the
What
barrel.
Okay, I'm more interested in what you have. I'm gonna kill you with this Taurus Raging Bull real quick. Yeah, Taurus basically makes all of their money copying other ones. Like, this is pretty much a Smith & Wesson revolver, only they don't do a very good job of putting them together. They pretty much exclusively copy Smith & Wesson or Beretta, and that's it.
They still get the job.
They went through World War II, and the lesson they learned was no one is going to use the service pistol. They have any other gun available. That is fair. That is a fair and reasonable thing to come up with. But even then, looking at 9x19 and saying it's too powerful, really? This easy thing is small for officers to carry. You can make tiny 9x19s.
Done though, don't they?
I mean, yeah, it'll still work. It's just not.
Doris
good.
has figured
Usually
out several
triggers are
dozen
kinda
ways to
crap.
make a
The
busted
finish is
revolver.
really
Yeah.
awful. They break a lot. So we'll just put this into.
It's kind of
That
impressive
garbage
how
there?
bad Tauruses
And
are.
what the fuck is this thing?
It's called a
Why to not
duplet.
work in
I don't know
anything
what
that
the hell
NATO
a
used. Okay, that's
duplet
fair.
is. What is a duplet?
You tell me. You're the gun expert.
Gah! AK-47, my friend.
Everybody knows about that gun.
Everybody knows what an
Aftermath
AK-47
number
is.
47.
Everybody on the eastern side of the world uses that gun.
Pretty much, or an AK-74, or some variant of it. I know what an AK is, you know what an AK is, we all know what an AK is. It shoots a big bullet, It works pretty well.
It doesn't shoot a huge bullet.
It's a decent sized round.
The thing I know about the AK
7.62 by 39.
is that you could throw it around in the mud and it'd keep on firing.
That's actually not true. The AK is an amazing gun to give to people who have no idea how to maintain weapons.
It is.
It doesn't matter if it's got oil in it. It doesn't matter if it's clean. It will just work.
Had enough?
The problem is,
It's not very precise.
no, it's decently accurate for a rifle. It's designed. The AK was designed to work from 0 to 300 meters. That's pretty much it. The problem is, when you turn the safety off, there is that massive hole in the side of it. The dirt and debris and everything can just get jammed right in the side of there.
So you want to keep the safety
Also,
on
conscripts had
as
a
much as
tendency to
possible.
Even
lose
then,
the dust cover,
problem is on
so there's an even
AK-47s,
bigger hole in
and
the
this
back.
is the thing everybody goes on and on and on about is, but it's got loose tolerances, so dirt can just go into it. It's got loose tolerances, which means dirt gets into it, and then the dirt makes it not work. If you fill the inside of an AK-47 up with dirt, it doesn't work anymore. It was designed to be a mass-produced rifle, to be made very cheap, and do its job.
Does it do its job,
It
sir?
does its job very well. Do you have a Pancore jackhammer? I'm not even gonna pick that up.
Are you not going to pick it up because you hate that gun?
I'm not gonna pick it up because it's not a real gun and it doesn't actually exist. And everybody insists on putting it in video games like it's some kind of mythical god shotgun. It's an MP412 Rex.
I've never heard of it.
It's a Russian revolver. It's a Russian top-break revolver. I know nothing about it because you can't get them in the US. I've never handled one. I know nothing about them. I don't know if they're good or bad or what. I don't know why this specific one looks like the entire thing was dipped in chrome, because the grip is shiny.
It looks like it was dipped in chrome because it was probably dipped in chrome. Also, yes, I will try to remember to pause. I'm sorry.
And it shouldn't be.
Well, maybe this Emmett Curry guy just likes his fancy revolvers.
Maybe he does. What was that other thing?
I don't know what you mean. It certainly wasn't a gun called an AS Val.
You give it to me right now!
I don't even know what this thing is.
Give it! Give it!
All right, fine. I don't even know what an AS Val is.
How long have you had this?
When did we kill Sergio?
Oh my god, man! And you didn't think to tell me!
Why? It's not like it's a good weapon or anything.
Oh my god, it's one of my favorite guns of all time!
You've never mentioned this to me before.
The AS Val is, oh my god, I can't even deal with you right now.
You've never mentioned it before, ever.
The AS Val is amazing. It's in 9x39.
Oh, so they made a new kind of ammo for it. That's great. Because, you know, I love having 10,000 kinds of ammo that's completely incompatible.
The whole point of 9x39 is that it's a subsonic armor-piercing bullet. You slap a big-ass suppressor on the front of this thing, and now you have a subsonic, suppressed, fully automatic gun.
I didn't know it was suppressed.
Yes, it makes no noise.
Oh.
It just ticks at you.
Oh, if we ever have a stealth mission, this will be useful.
I can't believe you didn't tell me you had this thing.
Again, I didn't know you'd care.
From now on, can you just assume that if you find a gun, I'll probably care, and then I'll tell you afterwards?
I thought we already found all the guns you liked.
I will not interrupt you for telling me that you found a new gun. So there's a couple different versions of this gun. There is the initial version, which was the VSS Ventores. Then the next one that came out was, why is there a landmine? Ow!
Let's take it like a champ.
VSS Ventores was first. AS Val, which is this one, was the second version. Technically, there's a third version, which is called the SR3M. Doesn't have an integral suppressor, it just has a screw-on suppressor. This one, the suppressor is part of the gun. You actually are not supposed to shoot it without a suppressor on it.
But what does this mean for me? Somebody who knows nothing about guns. Ah, God!
Nice work, Mike. So let's see. We found the Colt Pocket 1849, which is...
Going over what he said, I thought I had... I don't really think I have a lot to add. And I don't think I have a lot to add myself, except Brandon Herrera built one, and I would highly recommend you check out his video.
Is this thing. It's a percussion cap revolver.
Alright. Sounds a little weak, and it looks kind of silly.
Yes, it's a black powder revolver.
You cannot do
Just
that.
remove that? Why wouldn't you just load the 6 things in there with the speed? Why do you remove that?
Well, you can technically
okay,
do that,
so
but it
this
is not
a black
fast.
powder revolver.
Not
which
that
means,
fast.
When you want to reload it, you either have to remove the entire cylinder, or hold the gun at a weird angle and pour the powder into each one of the cylinders.
Oh my lord.
And then put a ball into it, and then jam the ball down in there.
It's a 6-shooter blunderbuss.
Yeah, it's a black powder muzzle loader.
It's a musket with 6 shots.
Yes! If you're shooting revolvers that are black powder like this one, just smear a little bit of Crisco across the top of it. I'm not even joking.
To prevent the sun from blinding you?
No, I meant the face of the cylinder, where the bullets come out of.
Mm-hmm.
When you fire this, they don't accidentally chain fire and all go off at the same time. Because that is something that could potentially happen.
And because the barrel isn't in front of the bullet, it would just explode in your hand.
Yes.
That's a bad thing.
AK-97.
Thank you for the sub, and he is 100% correct. I actually have a replica firing Colt Navy. And first of all, in order to remove the cylinder, you have to take a pin out the side, which holds it all together. Pull off the front barrel assembly, and then, there's the follower thing. Thank you. And then you can take the cylinder in and out. Assuming it's not a super tight pin, it can still actually be faster to swap out the cylinders, because they are really slow to reload manually. He is also 100% correct. They used to put like lard down each of the cylinders before you'd fire them. There is a modern thing called bore butter, which also helps clean and eat away at the black powder after you fire it, so your barrel doesn't get all fouled as easily. That you can now put on. It gives me, because of the chain, bacon grease is another one. The chain fire threat, because of that, I get anxiety whenever I see a lot of people that don't put anything, they just load the rounds in directly. It gives me anxiety because it's like, oh my gosh, please, I'm begging you. You can borrow my bore butter to put on it. I don't want your hand to be blown off. Now, there is a Remington. Is it the Remington? I think it's the Remington that does actually make it much easier to swap the cylinders out. Bacon, one of the 4 basic food groups. Yeah, I think it's the Remington that makes it easier to... yeah, the Remington Army that makes it easier. It's just like a single little lever instead of having to disassemble the gun that you pull and then swap out the cylinders. They're very neat. And interestingly, those cap and ball revolvers don't actually count as firearms. So you can just mail order them to your front door, which is interesting.
One is a very interesting gun. Ooh, fast firing rate. Me so horny.
I know nothing about this.
Boy, you immediately forgot about that Val gun, huh?
Makes me feel so dirty just holding this thing. So the AK-971 is an experimental weapon that the Russian military tested out that uses a weird counterweight mechanism inside it. The counterweight moves in the opposite direction the bolt is moving. So it has a really high firing rate, but it just kind of pushes into your shoulder instead of trying to climb on you.
So it absorbs recoil and throws it into your shoulder?
Any gun is going to recoil. This one doesn't have a whole lot. It just doesn't want to climb. It just basically wants to push straight backwards. It shoots a lot of bullets real fast.
What do you say? Accuracy by volume of fire?
That's pretty much what the AK-971 does.
All right. Was that also given to soldiers who were incompetent?
That was the plan, I think.
No, it was an experimental weapon. The Russian military
Yeah, but most of
not
those experimental
really.
weapons
So they
were
didn't make a whole
the
lot of
plan
them?
was to give to
No,
soldiers
not
who
really.
couldn't
So
hit.
it's kind of a mythical gun, like the Pancor jackhammer, is what you're saying?
No, because the Pancor jackhammer, there is only one of.
You don't know that. They could have some hiding. They could have...
I believe there's 2 of it, and it is actually terrible. It is a clockwork shotgun.
some that you don't know about.
Uh-huh.
That they didn't make public.
Uh-huh.
What? You don't know for certain.
I do know for certain there is one.
If there is one that exists, people can look at the schematics and make a duplicate of it, so there could be two.
Because you can't just make a fully automatic gun. You have to have the right licensing to do it.
You're saying I can't legally make it. I'm saying I could disregard the legality and make a clone of it.
It also would be complete shit, and it wouldn't actually be a Pancore jackhammer. It would be a gun made in a garage by some moron that doesn't know how to put a gun together.
They'll call it the Pancore Jack Glamour.
Call it a Pancore piece of shit.
Including the Pancore jackhammer.
Yeah, oh boy. God, what a fucking piece of junk this gun is.
It looks kind of futuristic.
No, it doesn't. It looks like garbage.
It's kind of cool, and it's got so many holes in it!
You know, why don't you use this gun since you love it so much? Then it can jam on you every 2 seconds because they built one of it, and it's a prototype, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got this stupid clockwork drum mechanism that you have to pull out in order to replace the ammo compartment. Oh, God.
You don't have to pull it out. You have to disassemble the gun. You actually have to disassemble it to reload in real life.
It's an experimental weapon that they designed one firing version of. And it didn't work. It looks like something somebody drew in 3rd grade math class when they were supposed to be paying attention. Look at this piece of crap. The AKS-74U,
which was designed in 1974 in the month of October.
October. Oh, God, now I get it. Okay. This goofy little thing right there on the end of it.
Ah, you're talking about the barrel.
The cone on the end of it.
The flash hider.
Yeah, it's a flash hider, and it also increases back pressure so the rifle will cycle properly. Also, the top cover is hinged, so you can't lose it anymore. And it has this side-folding wire stock.
It's got a hole in it, which means it's light and useful.
No, that hole is part of the side-folding mechanism.
I'm talking about the hole in the stock. This is a giant hole in the stock. There's not a lot of metal
What
there.
is with you in wanting to put holes in things?
Holes make things cool.
No, they don't. Whoa, that's a tiny shotgun. Give me your tiny shotgun, please. Oh, that's a Remington 870. That's way better than this shitty Mossberg 500 I have.
Really?
I don't care until I find one.
He got caught mid-reload. That's why you don't bring a revolver to an autoloader fight. See, look. It's empty. Oh, no. What do I do? And then I came up and was like... Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. Yeah, Remington 870.
I can't believe you would give up your Mossberg in any capacity.
I like the Remington 870 better than the Mossberg. I like the Remington 870 better because the older ones are better put together. They're more well-made.
Ah, built to last, you say?
Older ones are really well put together. They run smooth. They're very nice pump-action shotguns. By the looks of it, this one is an older one because it's a blued finish and not Parkerized. There is a lot of hate between people who use the Remington 870 and people who use the Mossberg 500.
I didn't realize there was a rivalry, like the Montagues and the Capulets.
No, more like Ford and Chevy owners.
I see.
They have absolutely no proof that either one of the guns is better, and yet they will yell at each other about how, well, my Ford's better than your Chevy. Yeah, Ford. More like, fix it again, Tony. That says Fiat, you dumbass.
So are you going to put a decal on your Remington there of Calvin pissing out a Mossberg?
Sure, why not? I would be lying if I said I had never seen a decal of Calvin peeing on a gun logo.
Yep, I've sadly seen that before, which is a real shame. Bill Watterson didn't want his characters to be used like that.
There really isn't much difference between the Mossberg 500 and the Remington 870. They're both...
Is that a Romeo and Juliet reference, Mike? Made? Oh, it was. I didn't even notice. Huh. I didn't even notice that.
Work fine.
They're both inferior to the Pancore jackhammer in theory. I have to say in theory because everyone knows the Pancore jackhammer is not a real weapon yet. But maybe one day, if we all dream hard enough, it could be. So there's a second Remington 870 in this game?
Yeah, the hunting shotgun is just a Remington 870. Or...
Why is Mike so smart and dumb at the same time?
Maybe it's based on the Winchester Model 12. I can't prove that, because the Model 12 does look similar to the Remington 870.
I think it is based on the Winchester, yes. Now that you mention it, with my vast knowledge of guns...
Oh my god, Mike. Oh god, a Pancore jackhammer.
He was... Yeah.
That's what you get for using a gun that doesn't exist.
You said it didn't exist, but there's already 2 of them. We just found them all.
Oh my god. It's because somebody
made copies. I told you they did. You didn't believe me.
But it's not a Pancore jackhammer. It's a shotgun made by Raider.
With the exact same specifications as a Pancore jackhammer. Ah yes, the Pancore jackhammer has a firing rate of a fucking lot and kills enemy with gusto.
I hate you.
It was invented by the cyborg Russians back in 2027.
I hate you.
And everybody knows that it's got a flash-powered muzzle hider. Yes, very effective at
You're
killing.
just saying words. You're just saying words. You're pissing me off.